Some people talk about the 96, 97 Bulls being the greatest team of all time, but for me, it's the NBA bubble Phoenix Suns. And coming off that 8-0 run, people have high hopes for the Phoenix Suns coming into next season. So what do you think that the Phoenix Suns should do this coming off season to try and get into contention next year, Liam?
I'm saying Danilo Gallinari in the off season. They've got the cap space to do so, and I think he's a really great fit in the 4 position that the Suns are kind of lacking. They got Rubio and Booker playing in that backcourt, who I really like that duo. So I think Gallinari really fills that two-way player void that they've lacked at the power forward. He's a great perimeter defender, great interior defender, great three-point shooter. So he's kind of ticking all of those boxes, and I really think with that starting lineup, I think the Suns are a genuine contender for that kind of 8th seed in the West. Obviously, a very difficult conference.
I don't know if this is going to be well received, but I think a player they should try and move on from and trade is Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre, he's a decent player for sure, but I mean, you saw in the bubble, the Suns played better without him, and I think that they should try and move away from Oubre, and they could probably get some good pieces for trading him. Obviously, his kind of lack of defense at times, it hurts the Suns, especially a team that isn't that great defensively. So packaging him with the 10th overall pick, you could potentially get, either move up in the draft if you really want to draft a 3-and-D guy. Other potential moves, re-signing Aaron Baines. He's shooting like 40% from 3. He does all the dirty work in the trenches as well, in the paint defensively. So I think having him come off the bench would really help the Phoenix Suns. And that was something that they struggled towards later in the season, where their bench depth didn't really do them any favors. They had, their starting 5 or 6 players who played really well. But yeah, that lack of bench depth really made them fall behind in games. So,
Mike, you kind of touched on the lack of depth that the Suns have and that kind of weak bench lineup. Very weak bench lineup that they have. Bogdan Bogdanovic is a player who's kind of rotting away on the Kings bench at the moment. He's obviously an incredible talent. He can kind of play 1 through 3, which I really like as obviously, he's going from the Kings bench to the Suns bench, but as a backup for Rubio, Booker, and Oubre, he can kind of fill any of those positions and play big minutes with that starting lineup rotation as well. Yeah, but I think that would definitely help them shore up that kind of weak bench that they have. But obviously, if you go after Bogdanovic, you can't afford Gallinari. I think he's the better fit for the Suns.
The way the Suns played in the bubble, you could easily see them just re-signing everyone, perhaps playing Oubre off the bench to be that bench, spark plug, and then drafting a 3-and-D player to fill that 3 role with the starters. So, this Suns team, they've shown they can compete with the very best, because the bubble obviously was just pretty much the best teams in the league in the bubble, and they went 8-0 against them. Sure, some of those teams were resting their starters and all that kind of stuff, but going 8-0 against contenders, regardless if they're missing 1 or 2 starters, is still an extremely good feat. Look, if I'm the Suns, I'm keeping the band together, because obviously you have Booker long term, you still have Ayton on that rookie contract, and that's their call right there. So I'm keeping the team together, and I'm drafting either the 2 guys, Aaron Naismith from Vanderbilt. He's a small forward. I think he shot 52% from 3, which is nuts. And he could provide that catch and shoot player who, Devin Booker could kick it out to, or Rubio obviously could play make too. But yeah, having that, outstanding shooter on the perimeter that's something the Suns lacked last year, which is why Aaron Baines had to take so many threes. Alternatively, one of my favorite players of this draft, I've mentioned him in other draft off-season videos, Saddiq Bey. They could draft him with the 10th pick. It kind of depends on who falls to that 10th slot for the Suns. But for me, I'm taking one of those 2 guys, perhaps, a Devin Vassell if he falls.
For sure. Mike, you kind of touched on that young core, Ayton being 21, Booker only 23, Oubre is 24. Obviously, only 1 year left on his deal. But if we look at the kind of past decade for the Suns, it's been a lot of misery. They haven't made the playoffs in over 10 years. 9 of their past 10 seasons have been below 500 years. So, these fans, they've suffered a lot recently. With the 10th pick, I'm gonna suggest the name Cole Anthony. Coming out of high school, he was very highly touted. You know, he didn't have a great year. He shot poorly, but we know he can shoot the three ball well. He's got a high basketball IQ, big upside, and I think he can learn a lot from Rubio, learn a lot from Booker. If you're drafting for the future in this young core, you know, you're still a few years away, you'd imagine, with, you know, Ayton still being so young.
Yeah, the Suns have a bit of flexibility. They have 20 million practical cap space, which is a lot more than some of those other contending teams who are in the negative after the COVID kind of season after COVID has kind of messed with the salary caps. The Suns are one of the few teams with positive practical cap space. So the Suns, they do have flexibility. If they want to re-sign Baines, they can take Baines. If they want to sign someone like a Gallinari or a Jeremy Grant, they could probably be one of those teams to offer, you know, a good amount of money while also being like one of those contenders, you know.
For sure. Yeah, it's kind of summary. I'd be going heavily after Danilo Gallinari. I think, you know, if they add him, they've got 4 players who can score 20 plus a night, which is, you know, as we've seen with the Celtics, that kind of whoever offense is quite helpful for a team. You know, if anyone's having a bad night, you've got 3 other players who can consistently score 20 points at an NBA level. So I think he fills that hole in the 4 position for them. Really strong starting lineup, and, you know, genuine contender for that kind of those lower seeds in the Western Conference playoffs. And I think that's what they should be aiming for this season. Kind of anything less, they're kind of out of tanking mode. Now's the time to start seeing results for the Phoenix Suns.
They're one of those teams that seem to be on the precipice of greatness, and you know, whatever moves that they make, they have to think very carefully about the implications for the future. But if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, what do you think the Suns should do this offseason? Should they try and run it back, get everyone back to have another shot at the playoffs? Or should they try and make some more moves to try and fix those areas of improvement? Comment down below.
Hey guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. Really appreciate your time and listening to our opinions. Whether you agree or disagree with us, please drop a comment down below. Let us know. We're just trying to learn and grow our channel. And talking to growing our channel, feel free to drop us a subscribe as well. Really help us grow and really get our name out there. Really appreciate it, guys.